All right, well, we are here with Jihad Muhammad, and I am so blessed, grateful that you made the time to sit here with me. It's been a while, and I think we've ran into each other a few times now to try to kick this off the right way.
Right.
Just a little history. Jihad and I go way back. When we first started, we did a club together for Eric, for Tamir. I think it was the Playhouse. Was it the Playhouse?
Yeah, that place on Elizabeth Avenue.
Yep.
Upstairs.
Yep. Yeah. It was the Playhouse, and it was yourself. Nick Jones came in later, and myself.
Right.
And I had the opportunity to really listen to you way back at the beginning, which would lead into a nice conversation. But before we get into that, for those that do not know you, which I kind of find that very difficult because you've been a staple in this business, in the industry, both as a DJ and producer. But, give us a little background of how things started for you, where you grew up, and what led you into the avenue of DJing.
Well, I grew up in North New Jersey. Music has always been in the family. So, growing up, I don't know how old you are, but we're probably like
we're probably the same.
But, remember there was a time when we listened to music, and it was just like a wide spectrum.
Yes, absolutely.
Music,
Yep.
So that's what was played in my household, and that's what I was used to hearing. A lot of soul music, jazz, classic rock. The genres were like wide open. So I guess as I got older, listening to the radio, Tony Humphries and Larry Levan and Timmy Regisford, that's what kind of got me into maybe wanting to be a DJ. Actually, it may have been even like early with Shep Pettibone. And
an underrated guy, by the way.
Yeah, of course.
Super underrated.
He used to do these like special edits and stuff, and what was funny was that they would play like regular songs, and then they would play like the Shep Pettibone edits. Like, wow, that was dope,
Yeah.
So that's what kind of got me into it, and it's where I am now.
Was there anyone that influenced your skills in mixing? Was this something that you just kind of ventured
Tony
into?
Humphries.
Yeah. Did you get a chance to experience him at Zanzibar?
I did.
Okay.
I did. Yep. Whatever he was doing on the radio, he was doing in the club.
Of course.
His overlays were tight.
Yeah.
And to me, that was like the essence of mixing. Blended two records together, make them sound like one. I thought that was like, you really had to have skill to do that back then. And he was one of the main guys who I admired when I was coming up. But also too, back then we had 92 KTU.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I used to love the Latin Rascals.
Oh, you got it.
Yeah,
you got it.
Love those guys. Those edits, man.
Oh my goodness.
They was doing like state of the art stuff back then.
Yes.
Still to this day, I'm like, how the hell are you guys doing that?
Absolutely.
But him, who's another one? The Animal.
Yeah, the Animal Diaz.
Hippie Terralis
was on the Battle of Disco DJs. They had had a big battle where they did it for like 8 weeks. Hippie was on there. The Animal, all of these guys. It was an incredible show.
That's right. So editing wise, me and my brother, we used to do these pause tape type things where we would put the radio close to the record player and then pause it at a certain part and then pick the needle up, put it back, and then try to get that part again. So we had our little fake Latin Rascal thing going on back then too, But that's how, I learned how to edit.
Yep.
I'm sure everybody, coming up around that time kind of did the same thing.
Sure.
But
that record, pause, play effect definitely shaped a lot of DJs back in the day, because that was the format. That's the only thing you had.
Yeah, exactly.
Before you moved forward to the next thing.
I didn't have any turntables.
Exactly.
So it was like, we had to learn the best way we could.
Yep.
And when I finally did get equipment, my uncle took me to Radio Shack to get my first mixer.
Yep.
And his friends gave me a turntable, and then somebody else gave me a turntable. It was mismatched, you know. But I didn't care.
That's
it's
right.
like, yo, this is how I'm learning.
Yep.
You know. So, and then my father had a turntable, the receiver, speaker, Bluetooth receiver.
Yeah. Had to learn to the fuse.
Aluminum. You know,
That's right.
on a fuse to get it back working.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, you know, that was how I got into wanting to do.
That's awesome, and you hit so many incredible pieces that I'm sure we can sit here for hours and talk. But you know, I definitely want to focus on you, on what you're doing, on what your future, and a few things that you've kind of mentioned in social media that are on everyone's minds, right? Especially being in this industry for so long. Things just float on that sometimes you just, you know, you wonder, right? Because you're comparing it to when we grew up, the movement that took place a while ago to where things are and where they might be heading. But editing, the edits that the Latin Rascals and these guys did, it's a craft, it's an art on its own. And to the younger DJs that are coming up, that may not be something that they were at least, you know, either see do it or actually have the knowledge and the foresight to actually do that art form of editing, especially splicing it on the tape.
Yeah.
Right. So you and I have a lot in common to understand that, you know, to get a long roll of tape and splice probably 3 seconds out of a song, put that physical piece of tape somewhere and get another 3 second small piece and put it. I mean,
it was a lot of work.
And the thought process of how it's gonna sound, what certain part of that song. Do you think that played a big role in what you do with your production now?
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
Right.
Even now, like on the CDJ 3000, there are. If I'm playing a song in a DJ set, and I want to be able to go back to the beginning. Before, if we were working with turntables, I'd have to physically mix the song back. Now,
2 records.
I can just hit the cue button, the hot cue button, and just go right back to the beginning of the record. Or I can chop it up and just hit a cue button to go back to where I really want to be at in that record. And I think that comes from how I grew up in the business, what I was listening to, you know. And so, you know, I mean, it's a lot easier now. With CDJs, with controllers, with pads and everything, you know. I don't know if any DJs take advantage of it.
That's true.
You know, maybe just to kind of get to a certain part in the record, but I kind of use it as a performance tool. You know?
That creativity that was instilled, you know, into us by the likes of a Tony Humphries, you know, by the likes of a Timmy and Merlin, taking different genres and mixing them together, you know? Because even Tony, I think, has this formula where he would always freak me out when he would run 2 vocals slightly underneath, and if they were having a conversation together on that mix. I mean, that's
because the key rule used to be you can't mix vocals together.
Exactly.
But he did it in a way where it was like, nah, man, you can do it if you kind of
and
skillful.
He had that right there where it was not too high, not too low on the second one, but and it was, to me, it was always that issue, like, oh my God, he's bringing that in, right? And these are terms that we use, like he's writing that song, you know, he's bringing that vocal into this. I mean, those are things that just shaped, I think, the creative state of mind. And maybe you could touch up a little bit on this, is in today's world with this technology that's available for us to utilize kind of in the way that you do, I think the focus is on other things. I think the focus could be more on the showmanship and kind of getting a little too worked up with, you know, the whole equalization isolator, you know?
You know, I was just listening to an interview now with Bob, and they were asking him about how he got into the business and where it is right now. And what he said was it's less about music, more about showmanship or performance.
Totally agree.
You know, so it's kind of like people don't really care what they play on as long as the people hear music and that's it. You know, where we came into, how does it sound? You know, what kind of speakers is he using?
Yeah.
Who made your console?
The highs need to be up a little bit. You know, exactly.
Yeah, you know, all those things matter, but they don't really matter anymore. So controllers are like $200, $300. You can be a DJ, and as long as you got files from YouTube or low quality MP3s, it doesn't matter. The people are dancing. They don't really care. So I think as long as the people don't care about the quality, the standard goes down. You know? But that was interesting that Merlin said that it's more about showmanship. It's more about clapping.
The video.
Fist pumping. And, you know, how many likes you get and how many people follow you now. You know, that is what has taken over. You know, so less skill, more followers, that's great.
Now you're one of the most active DJs in the circle, I want to call it, right? Because we have about 5 main DJs that are always doing a lot of the outdoor events.
Right.
They're going out there, and I think you, out of all of them, travel a bit more outside of the States, right? And so now that you see these festivals massively growing in numbers, and you see a lot of the DJs on the bill that, and I think I had asked you this, that might have the same sound. When you compare events here to events outside of the US, because I think you made a point on one of your social medias about that, maybe bringing DJs from another country here, and the response was all over from people saying, there's enough talent here, why are you focused everywhere? But is it that you feel that there's a bit of more of that talent side that may not be here out there? What was your point behind that?
My point is that with the overabundance of festivals in New Jersey, you seem to get the same DJs. Right? And somebody might slap me if I say this, but I have to say it anyway. But what I've seen is an influx of wedding DJs playing house music festivals. And musically, it doesn't match with some of the seasoned DJs. So if I go to a festival over in the UK, you'll see the roster of DJs, and the roster of DJs that they have are like established,
seasoned
producers.
Yes,
you know what I mean. And it's like from start to finish, your first DJ will open up and play a nice warm-up set. Then the next DJ will follow into that, and then it just climbs steadily throughout the night. Here it's people who are trying to get on, but 11:30, 12 o'clock, when there's really nobody at the festival, they're playing like main hits, and nobody's there. And like I said, it's for lights. It's for, oh man, you did your thing and you killed it. But there's really no like.
There's no flow.
No right? Flow. There's no flow. So what I wanted to say on Facebook was that there are a lot of talented UK DJs that we don't get to hear. And I made that point after I came from Portugal. And I mean, those guys over there was just But you know, the same argument goes with them too. They say, why you want to get these US DJs over here? You know, we got plenty of talent over here. No, it's like, you know, but my point was, hey, listen, we have to open up and bring more people in. Because there was a time when we used to go to Winter Music Conference.
That's right.
We used to go to the New Music Seminar in New York, and those guys flew over here because back then record labels were thriving, clubs were thriving.
The business itself.
The business itself was thriving, of course.
Absolutely.
So to come over here and play in New York for them was something big.
Absolutely.
And for us to go over there to play was something big for us.
Yeah.
So I feel like that energy needs to be transferred.
Yep. That's a great point. And one of the things that you hit upon is exactly conversations that I've had with a few peoples also. There seems to be that, and I'm going to use your term, a lot of wedding DJs, a lot of DJs that are doing mobile gigs that seem to think that they could fit into the mold of an actual club DJ, right? And back then, don't get me wrong, we did that, right? There's a few DJs that also did side hustles, weddings, parties, and stuff like that. But I think the group that we grew up with was oriented towards the nightclub, towards the club scene. It was the true underground that we followed, and that was what helped us shape our sound, right? Because the club scene itself was still underground, even though you had massive clubs like the Loft, like the Paradise Garage, and all of the great clubs in Newark as well. But there was still that underground sense to it. Zanzibar was still underground, even though it was known to the lovers of that music, right? So I think by losing that aspect of the nightclub and the underground and just strictly calling it house music, right? And every DJ saying, I'm a house DJ and I'm a house head. What is that actual term? What is a house head? Some people say a house head is someone who just loves house music. Right? But I think to us, a house head is someone that's had at least some sort of root way back when it all started. And we follow that in our own passion that led us to where we are now. And so that is an interesting point, hearing from you that there you see a lot of the people that now can go out and rock a Sweet 16 to say, well, hey, that warrants me to play with these people that have been playing for 20, 30 years, establishing themselves.
Well, the unique thing about New Jersey is that, especially in this area, Union County, Essex County, the unique thing is that you can't do a wedding or a retirement party without playing some sort of house music song.
Absolutely.
Right? So, because of that, there are songs that we play in the clubs make popular. And some of those popular songs kind of draw the wedding DJ. So when they are playing house music, they're literally just playing the popular songs that we may have played at one time, and then we kind of like, oh, we're over it now, and and then they get a hold of it, and then they just kill it. But to your point, it's like, what is a house head? People who like house music, I guess. And maybe they might like the commercial side of house. Maybe they like the DJ side of house. But I feel like, when you say you're a house head, I feel like that in itself should be challenged to some degree. Because a Jersey house head is different from a New York house head.
And a Chicago house head.
And a Chicago house head.
And a UK house head.
And a UK house head.
That's right.
And so to me it becomes how educated are you as a house head musically?
Great point.
Because now if I'm a DJ in a nightclub, and most DJs have become promoters to some degree, and I say I want to bring Osunlade, I'm gonna need you to know who he is.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
So you can understand.
So you can understand who it is I'm bringing in. And if you don't know who he is, be open enough to find out musically what's going on in his head. So the general, I hate to say it, but in New Jersey, there have been some who have started traveling outside of New Jersey to see different DJs. And their minds have expanded musically, and they know more DJs now.
Yep.
But for the festivals, you know, they don't really, you know, festivals kind of just draw everybody. You know, you can be a house head, you just want to be out for the day because it's a festival in your town.
Yep.
They may not know who that person is musically, but hopefully, you know, they're open enough to say, wow, this guy played good, I want to know who he is.
Yep.
You know.
Now, you've been doing this for 30 plus years. How difficult was it for you to get your brand where you are, from where you started to where you are now? Because, you know, you tend to tread on this separation kind of way away from everybody of what they're doing, but you still carry that intrigueness to people that want to come out and hear you play all the time.
Right.
And you know, we've had people that have been doing this for 30 years that have stopped, that have been fed up, that have changed their sounds a lot, that are trying to kind of go with the flow, but you seem to maintain a certain musical lane. You know, how do you achieve that, and how you stay so current with what it is that you're doing?
Well, I think it's because I go out a lot, you know, or I used to go out a lot. I don't go out as much as I used to, but I try to keep my ear to the streets, and traveling does help.
Absolutely.
You know, because if I'm in the UK, I usually do a totally different set than when I am here. But I think you have to be knowledgeable enough to know that that's what you have to do when you're in different places. But I don't know. You know, I've been around guys like Naeem and Camacho back in the day. And,
of course.
You know, become friends with like most of the people that I looked up to when I was coming into the game. And it's just kind of knowing what people like. You have to kind of study who you're playing for sometimes, and kind of know like, okay, if I do a 718 sessions party, it's more of a classic oriented party. I can play some new stuff, but I can also play a lot of classics. If I play Bang the Drum Party, most people want to hear more Afro house, Afro soul type house. In the UK, they want to hear more soulful house. So I think you just have to be brave enough to know where you're playing at and who you're playing for, and kind of know musically, okay, this is where I need to go when I'm here. But the great thing about doing this for 30 plus years is that I've had a few residencies in the area. So I was kind of able to cultivate the people who were coming out to see me to the sound that I wanted to present to them.
Got it.
And, you know, for me, I've always been like the new music guy. I gotta play some new music. You know, I could play a few hits here and there, but the new music is what I get off on. And I mean, we all grew up, you know, want to hear new music. You go to garage, and next thing you know, you hear Larry play the song, and then everybody says, "Oh, we just go to Vinyl Mania to see if the song was there." You know, we scoured all the record shops in New York to see if that one record was there, and that's how I used to shop. You know, so I just feel like you have to have a crowd that's open enough to, you know, kind of allowing you to present how you want to present your music. Because music is music. Good music is good music.
Good music is good.
You know, I mean,
absolutely.
we can go from house to soul to jazz to whatever we want to do. Because that's how we grew up playing. And if it's great, it's great. You know, I've been blessed.
That's awesome. Now, I've also heard you at special events where you even break out of your box and play some, you know, hip hop, some classic hip hop, some funk and jazz and stuff. Why not bring that into a next event that you're doing? Do you think that your crowd would change? Would they love you more, or would they kind of look at you like, whoa, I wasn't...
I was talking to Tony Touch, because he's on the next event
On Saturday.
and I said, yo man, I don't know if I'm gonna do it this year, but I said next year I kind of want to get like one of the old school DJs to come play, you know, and do like the old school house. Old school hip hop session.
Yep.
And just break it up, because we came in at the inception
Absolutely.
of hip hop. You know, so when they say hip hop is 50 years old now, I'm like, damn, I'm 50 years old. Like, I can't believe that's how old I am.
Yeah.
You know, 50 plus. And we used to be able to play, especially Tony Humphries. I learned this from him. He would play some hip hop with some R&B soul. He'd be like, you know, you can do that.
Yeah.
So
I remember he broke Soul to Soul.
right,
Soul to Soul had that hip hop soulful right at the beginning, and he was always starting. He was always
I remember
breaking
mix
that
he did with Houdini, Big Mouth,
That's right.
and Trans Europe Express.
Yeah.
And I was like, damn, that was a good mix. But that's how we came into playing music. We were open, like musically, we weren't just like one genre. That's it.
Yeah.
Played hip hop, we played a little bit of soul. You know, we came in when house music became popular. So we had, you know, the ability to mix all that stuff in together.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And how did production come about? Because you got a lot of hits. You have a lot of stuff from your old, repertoire to what you're releasing now, and you're staying on that very funky, very, jazzy, very lush feel to it.
Yeah.
So how did you get into production?
I didn't even want to do production, to be honest with you. Kevin Hedge was the one that was like, you gotta get into production if you want to move your DJ game to the next level.
Yep.
So I'm like, all right. So he took me to the store. I bought a MPC, and I had a little keyboard. And I didn't know how to use it. So I took it to the studio and he showed me. And I was like, oh, okay. I got it home and I just put it off to the side. And I just never messed with it. It wasn't really my thing at the time.
Right.
And so Nick Jones allowed me to come to his house. He had a studio in his basement. And I did a track called New Jersey Groove, which did okay. I sold it to some label in Toronto, and came back to his house, and I did a song called Movement Blues.
Yeah.
All piano, right? And
Still hits.
oh yeah, man,
Still hits.
Yeah, West End took that record, and that's what jumped everything on.
What was Kevin part of West End at that time? Okay. Did he help you with releasing the stuff on West End?
Yeah, he was instrumental in like taking guys like myself, Ian Friday, Will Milton, and signing our records and stuff. So, but I after that record, I didn't want another record on West End. I wanted to continue doing my own thing because I didn't want it to look like, because he's my boy, he put it on.
Understood.
So I was actually very successful, like selling records and songs to labels overseas, and doing a lot of licensing deals. The stuff that I was making at the time, I don't think they were really playing over here.
No.
I don't think it fit the.
That's right.
But over there it was like, yo, who's this guy Jihad? So. It was like a lot of labels that I did a lot of remixes.
And so what's the next phase for you in production?
Well, I want to say around 2004, maybe 5, I started my own label, Movement Soul. And so we're still doing that, and I'm still, every time I decide I want to sit down and concentrate on the label, somebody always is like, we need another remix for you. And I wind up doing remixes for other people, so that's taking me away from my own label.
Right.
So I said, this year I want to just concentrate on just the label, put more energy back into the label.
You did mention to me, if you don't mind me saying it, that you hope to work in an album where it infuses different types, different sounds, right? And
I have to get my head wrapped around actually trying to put an album together. 'Cause it takes time.
Of course.
You know, I don't want to just do a all house record.
Yep.
I want to do something that kind of shows where I've come from, where I've started, where I am.
Yep.
You know, today. So there might be some down tempo. I actually, you know, it's really what I was doing when I first started doing music. It was like down tempo stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why the lush part always comes to me as a description of how I hear your production, because it has those pretty elements that we grew up with that kind of set the mood for what the night was gonna be like.
Right.
But you were able to utilize that if it was an instrumental with a nice vocal, you know, to bring up the night. So I've always wanted to ask that from you, like what inspired you to give it that sound? Was it just your vision of what you grew up with?
I like piano
Yep.
and strings. I love strings. I love the little quirky stuff, you know. And that
chords
comes
here
from
and there,
listening to jazz.
Yeah, of
you know,
course.
My father used to listen to jazz a lot. So, and I still do. I can turn on WBGO and just chill for the whole day.
Absolutely.
But you know, when that's kind of like ingrained in you, it becomes a part of you. You know, when you start to do production. And, you know, now, you know, production is kind of like just fall to the floor, that type of thing. But one of the other reasons why I said, you know, I wanted to bring some UK DJs over is because some of the production.
Absolutely.
Outstanding.
Absolutely.
You know, and I had the pleasure of sitting with Sean McCabe and At Jazz when we were in.
Oh my goodness.
And I'm
Those
like
guys
asking them questions like,
exactly.
how did you do this album? And you know, how long did it take? And what was the thought process behind it? You know, they tell you doing an album is hard.
Yep.
You really have to take time to not do anything else but that album.
Yeah.
You know, it takes a lot of work.
That's awesome.
But you know, musically I like keys and percussion. I used to have this saxophonist that I got, you know, hip to from Blaze, and another percussionist that I got hip to from Blaze. So those elements I still like.
Awesome. That's
But
great.
you know, music has changed a lot, so it's more DJ driven.
Yep.
You know, and because of that, it's produced in a certain way.
Absolutely.
You know, but and so you really have to be a bit skillful to be able to still kind of throw in those jazzy bits and keep the people going. You know, because everything is just do, you know, all night long.
It almost reminds me of when that time of period, I would say early 90s, when house was becoming a hard house.
Right.
You know, the house of God.
Yeah.
You know, songs like that were you know what we were playing. You know, Acid Crash, all of that stuff was very pounding. And for I would say probably for that first year, that's what we're used to. And sometimes when I hear certain things like that and people almost wanting that harder element of a deep, hard Afro house, it's like, whoa, you know, we had this before. It's kind of like it's turning over all over again now.
What we didn't have then was festivals.
Absolutely.
So now,
Absolutely.
it's become festivals.
Now, let me ask you this about festivals. You're very active with festivals, and now that Chicago also has their chosen few festivals, that's you know, bringing in tens and thousands of people, you know, just to listen to these DJs. But do you think in a way that's saturating and maybe taking on a direction that may get away from the whole underground feel of how things were and becoming more generic?
I think it really depends on the festival itself.
Do you think there's a big difference, if you don't mind interrupting, between what Chicago is doing and what we're doing here, and Roselle and Linden and, you know, all of these areas that now have a festival?
I think like in Chicago, you might hear more classics.
Okay.
You know, or classic remixes or remakes or whatever you want to call it. In Jersey, the festivals are like this brand new phenomenon. You know, everybody wants to be outside. I don't know if it's to make people popular. You know,
the DJs, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. The DJ, the promoters.
Okay.
You know, now every town is doing it.
Exactly.
And so it has become oversaturated to a degree. Even to the point where I even said this year, I was like, I'm not doing too many festivals. I'm only going to do the ones that matter. But then how do you pick the ones that matter?
True.
My thing is to pick the ones that matter by the lineup of DJs that
Got it.
If I was to go overseas to do a festival, I'm playing with guys.
Yep.
You know, we just did a festival in Roselle, and there was a DJ who was like, "Yo, y'all didn't tell me what I was playing on." And I'm like, "No, this is a standard setup. You know, this is a standard CDJ setup."
Yeah.
And he bought his controller, so we had no choice, you know, but to let him play. He was on a bill, but it just gave it a whole different energy, you know. And so, like I said, that's what's seeping into these festivals.
Got it.
And it starts to make the festivals. It cheapens it.
Yeah.
It cheapens the brand. So, like in Chicago, for instance, you know, one thing I think I can compare Chicago to, like maybe Lincoln Park.
Okay.
Because at least they both have artists.
Yeah. A
that,
diverse.
like, worldwide artists. So in Chicago they had B.B. Winans.
Yeah.
B.B. Winans was in New York some years ago. You know, we had Monique Bingham, Melba Moore, Adiva.
Yep.
So that's what you'll see in Chicago, and that's what we need to see here.
Right.
You know, see, I feel like it's not just about us, the DJs.
Yeah.
It's about whose music we're playing.
Absolutely.
You have to give the artists some shine as well, too.
Yeah.
You know, and so as long as it's become DJ oriented, DJs are going to control the flow of how the festivals go. They're going to control the music.
Yeah.
You know, but you have to give the artists some shine because we're playing their music.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, you're hitting some incredible points. I totally agree with you in all this, Jihad. We've seen a few newcomers, young kids, kind of breaking through in this scene.
Right.
Do you think that they're learning the right way? Or you think they're learning for a point that you made earlier? It's about the numbers, it's about the videos, it's about how you showcase yourself in front of the video, that it's out there now, instead of really learning the roots and maybe, you know, expanding their art form a little bit more with the knowledge that we grew up, rather than here's this machine, you hit these buttons, download the list of songs and off you go.
Right. There are a few younger DJs in the scene now. You have Jordan Pope, Baltimore, whose father is DJ Pope.
Yep.
We have here Justin DJ.
Yep.
A few other ones I can't think of right now. Well, I remember when the Martinez brothers were like,
Absolutely.
you know,
Starting.
younger guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
And look where they're at now. You know, so times are different from the way we came into it. Technology is advanced so much more now. So the hardships that we had to take, we don't have to take. You know, we had to hear music. We get to see it visually on the screen.
That's right.
To know how to match it up. But I will say that there are some. Just the DJ is skilled. He's very skilled, talented for his age. He listens, he watches. Jordan Pope is talented for his age. I think what can propel them to the next level is if somebody's behind them and they understand the business of being a DJ.
Okay.
You know, you have to know who you're playing. You can't play that one style. You think you know that works here, all over the place. You know, you have to kind of sometimes learn how to step outside your box, and you have to fail sometimes.
Yeah.
Because as a young DJ, they'll always hear, "Oh man, you killed it! Oh my God, you're so talented!"
Yeah.
You know, but sometimes you gotta hear, "Hey man, you didn't do that good."
You got to be put on your place.
Yeah, of course.
Because that gives you that fire.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
you have to be humble because you don't want their heads to blow up and think that everywhere they go, because I'm 16 or 17 years old,
Yeah.
everybody's gonna love me.
Yeah.
And you know, you start taking that for granted.
Yeah.
You know.
But we know what that felt like, right? When we were first given that break. Oh yeah, you know, I got it, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So, you know, it's good that they're coming into the game at a time when technology is way more. You know what I was telling my brother? I said, I don't know how many records I've had and I've brought over the years.
Yeah.
Right? But now you can stream every album.
Yep.
In your software, as long as you have a title subscription or Beatport subscription, you can stream the music without buying it. And I said, if we would have had it, then I would have saved myself thousands and thousands of dollars. You know what I mean? And, you know, like, the music is crisp, it's clean.
Yeah.
There's no pops and scratches or anything like that. But, you know, but I mean, even going to the record store back then was an art form.
Yeah, that was a communion, you know, community communion.
Right.
That was the path you had to.
Yeah, you had
you know, and the store back then, because I mean, I'm still doing record stores, I'm still buying vinyl, but it's lost that sense of, you know, coming together. You know, because you're just there digging and trying to find something. It wasn't what it was before, obviously.
Right.
And I always tell my wife that, like, I wish that at least we would have one store where there's the knowledgeable people showing the youngsters how the way we were taught.
Right.
You know, someone in the store, you know, who saw you coming weekly now had a little stash for you. Hey, you might like this.
Right.
They picked for you.
And even that took some time. You know, like,
absolutely.
I remember going to gas tracks. Phil D used to work there.
Oh, yeah.
And I would see him give like a stash.
Yeah. To somebody.
I'm like, yo, man, where's my stash?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know you.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So they had to get to know you, get to know what you like.
Yeah.
And they might have saw you in the club every week.
Yes, absolutely.
You know, and even they had like a bit of an attitude sometimes. You know, I'm Phil D, I work in dance back. Yeah, all right, whatever, man.
Now, real quick, you touched on digital form and vinyl form. Do you have a preference? There's arguments out there where, you know, if you're not a true vinyl DJ, you know, then you really can't say anything, or, you know, I'm too tired to carry crates, so, you know, this is what I have to be. I mean, what's your take on that?
Well, my take on it is, I don't know. You know, it depends on the era that you grew up in. You know, what DJing was then isn't what DJing is now. So somebody who might have come in and CDJs was a thing. That's what they learned. We learned on vinyl records. Can you say this person is more of a DJ than this person? No, not really.
Right.
I think DJ is an art.
Yeah.
It's a skill. You know, and we got skillful on the tools that we used at the time. Digital versus vinyl, there's always going to be that love of vinyl for me. But there comes a point where you have to move on. Absolutely. You know, and you have to appreciate it for what it was, and just kind of say, hey, well, guess I got to get the digital album, you know. You know, but I mean, you're still playing it the same way, you know. And then if you really love vinyl that much, either you play vinyl, or you do Serato vinyl, or whatever works for you.
But the art form, regardless what the platform is, should ultimately shine through. Absolutely.
You know, it's the knowledge of music and how seriously you take that part of the art.
Yeah.
You know, a funny story. I hate to, if just the DJ is watching this, or if he sees this, he's probably gonna be like, "Oh man, that's messed up." But he told me one day. He asked me how I played when I was in Portugal.
Yeah.
And I said, I played some soul house. I didn't record it, but you know, you had to be there. He says, yeah, you know, because I got music that I don't normally get to play out. So my collection runs deep, man. It runs deep. I said, bro, you're 10 years old. How does your collection?
You're
right?
10 years old.
Right. And then, you know, we laughed about it and everything. But, you know, it's like,
Yeah.
as a DJ, man, like, I don't think I've ever said, I have these records that I want to play, don't have a chance to play them.
Yeah.
Because I think having a residency gave you the chance to
Absolutely. Yep.
you know?
Yeah.
You just did what you wanted to do. Even if people walk off the floor, and even everything is an art.
Yep.
Playing a song for everybody to walk off the floor is an art too.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know?
Yep.
Because they have to reset, you have to reset,
Yep.
and then you have to get them back on the
Yep.
floor. You know, we hear all these stories about the Larry the Band
Yep.
in the garage and how he played Heartbeat 12, 15 times in a night. And the first 3 times, everybody just walked off the floor, and the more you played it, the more people enjoyed it. And look at where that song is now.
Yeah,
Probably
absolutely.
one of the most sampled songs in hip hop, right? But you have to, you know, take a chance on just saying, hey, I'm gonna play this, and if they walk off, they walk off.
Yeah.
Because I feel like as a DJ, we are the tastemakers. We're here to give you what you need. A doctor gives you medicine.
Excellent.
You don't give the doctor medicine,
Absolutely.
right? So I'm here to tell you that this is what's happening. And if you're not hip to it, then you need to go somewhere else.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think for me, I'm always learning, right? And that's the thing when you're so invested, when you're so passionate about it, you don't just stay with what you feel safe. Mm-hmm. You know, and for me, doing the radio show out of the UK completely took me to a different level musically, because there was so much music still that the States itself missed out on.
Right.
So many imports, so many that, and even from Japan, right? So even though these countries wanted what we had, we were deaf to a lot of the stuff that never came here.
Right.
We bought a lot of imports, but that was just a little taste of what was actually being released. So sometimes I would listen to my fellow presenters and I'd be like, when did this come out? Like 1987, 1988. I'm like, you know, I don't remember this. So I think, you know, opening up your mind musically and not being afraid, or maybe have that pride to say, yeah, you know what, I like this guy, or, you know, there's a little bit from this guy that I take. That all molds to what eventually you want to do. But you also have to be, you know, stern and proud of what it is that you're representing for yourself, instead of following what everybody else does.
You know, what fascinates me about hip hop is when you really start to research sampling.
Absolutely.
It's like, what made you buy this record? You know, like, how are you thinking about this particular record sample? You know, like, you had to have gone through a few obscure records to find this sample.
Absolutely.
And then from that sample, you start to go more deeper into that artist's music.
Absolutely.
You know? And so, but that's how we came out.
Absolutely.
Well, I heard this, and that sounds good. Even now, today, there are a lot of DJs that weren't around when we were doing our thing.
Absolutely.
And so I could play something from early 2000s or the late 80s, and they'll be like, that new?
Yeah.
No, it's not new. It's like 30 years old.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Because everybody's gotten so used to trying to be current, you know, with their music. And then what happens is that with all of these parties going around, everybody starts playing the same stuff because they want to stay current.
Yeah.
They don't understand you can be current and play something from 30 years ago.
Absolutely.
You know,
Absolutely.
you have to break the mold.
Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely. So what's next for you?
Well, we have Mulberry Commons Saturday, and that's with DJ Spin and Tony Touch.
Yep.
We're doing another one in August at Weekly Club.
Okay.
And that's with a young lady from Boston named Susan Estera and Merlin Bob.
Oh wow! Okay.
Yeah.
I'm glad to see Merlin come out, man.
Yeah.
He's been away for too many years.
Yeah, Merlin was one of the main guys who I used to listen to.
Oh, absolutely.
So I'm going to Croatia next week.
Nice.
The Sunset Beat Festival. And what festivals I think I'm doing.
Does it still excite you? I mean, you're so busy. You still have that passion.
Yeah.
You still have that drive. What keeps that motivation going?
It's the love of doing it. You know, it's just the love of doing it. But like I said, I want to slow down on certain festivals. I want to. I have more fun when I'm playing for a more musically educated crowd. But you know, I also have fun turning people on to certain things too.
Sure.
I would love to have another residency somewhere.
Yeah.
But there's no real club out there.
Absolutely.
You know, that's a little rough, but yeah, I just love doing it. You know, it's in my blood. It's something that I've been doing since I was a teenager.
Right.
You know, and there are times when I'm like, oh, I'm tired. And then I hear a song, I'm like, oh, I gotta go play that. But I've gotten more into sound engineering.
Yep.
And I've been, you know, accessing my sound for festivals.
So, do you have sound yourself, or you work with? Okay.
Yeah, we have sound. We have, what don't we have? We have, you know what? When we were playing at the Playhouse, that system, I have it in the garage.
Wow.
Yeah, I have that. That was at the Cricket Club.
Yep. Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep. When we were doing Cricket Club, we started off with like, you know, little whatever. And then Kevin, who owns the sound system, he moved to Atlanta. And I said, what you doing with this stuff? He's like, you're doing nothing. Why? You want to use it? Yeah. So I flew down.
Oh my
partner,
goodness.
and we rolled it back.
Wow.
Put it in Cricket Club, and we had a good 4 years there.
Yeah. Sounded nice.
Yeah.
It's a nice system.
Yeah. And so that's in the garage now. I think sometime next year I might kind of bring that out.
How do you feel about that, right? We've seen a lot of the old classic big, you know, amplified systems come back.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. People are really taking it serious.
Right.
You know, Bertha Bottoms, you know, the whole tweeter arrays and stuff. Does that make you happy? Do you like that big sound?
I love it, but I know that it can only be used in certain applications.
Yeah.
You know, so when we did Linden,
and
then he had his sound system out there along with TY's. See, there's a lot that comes with that. Like, I feel like if you build a sound system like that, you can't be playing MP3s on it. You have to play like music that system was made for.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So if you're going to be into the art of this thing, you have to just go all the way with the art.
Yep.
You know? But I do love those big sound systems in Walmart.
Yep.
You know, more surround sound. We do 4 stacks, 6 stacks. Danny Tenaglia just did a 10 stack.
Yeah. Did you go and hear it or no?
I didn't go.
Have you heard? Oh man, I wanted to go, but I couldn't get tickets. It was the whole ticket thing. But and he's got the original sound system, right?
I think he has the one from vinyl.
From vinyl, absolutely.
Yeah. So and then now you have line arrays, which are more festival driven.
Yeah, of course.
Which is what we also have as well too.
Oh wow, okay. Yeah. So you can apply system for various types of applications. Outdoor events, indoors, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's good.
Yeah. And I just try to weave my way into another part of the business. You know, one thing that Merlin said that made me think was there's so many things you can do to be in the music business.
Absolutely. You don't just have to be a DJ.
You don't have to be a DJ. You don't have to be a producer. You can be a producer and not a DJ.
Absolutely.
DJ and not a producer. Or you can do both. You could be an executive. I think what we're missing in New Jersey are more business people. You know, we've lost the art of business. You know, which is why when you compare a Chicago to a New Jersey, how is it that they pay $40 in Chicago to attend a festival? How is this free all the time? You know, and the beauty of New Jersey is that we're sponsored by most of the townships. But within that sponsorship, how do they get their money?
Of course.
You know? So, you know, you're kicking out money. You get a return on the money that you kicked out. So we have to find some way where festivals become a business, like they are all over the world.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And so, me and Beloved were talking about that earlier. You know, certain festivals that we go to, like you go to Chicago, if you go to Atlanta, they have pre-parties, after parties, post-parties. You know, so we need to start doing that, incorporating that aspect, if we want to, you know, make a business out of it.
And it's unfortunate, right? Because the business aspect of this industry that we love, we know that it's always been hurting.
Right.
For the artists and the DJs since we first started. Either you paid an artist that deservedly needed to get paid what they deserve and turned around and only gave them $100 to perform, and we got $50 if that at the end of that night, if not anything, right? It was more like I want to play, but I think it has to get restructured for sure, with the emphasis of this is a business after all, and for the future that's to come, there needs to be that platform, that preset that they can move forward and see these options.
One thing I like to do is every night I'm on like YouTube. I'm like a YouTube whore, right? I stay on YouTube and I stay looking at different festivals around the world and what they're doing, and to even have been a part of one like Southport Weekend Days.
That's a huge out there.
3-day festival where they have not just house music,
everything,
jazz artists, R&B, soul artists, you know.
And they have the creme of the creme, like the artists that should be performing here are out there.
Right, exactly. So it makes you think, like, do we not appreciate them more than, you know? So, but it's structured in a way where it's about the love of the music. It's also about the business of it, you know?
Absolutely.
And that's one thing, I swear, man, we have to really lock down. Just trying to come up with a business plan so that we can further this thing.
Absolutely.
And so, you know, you look at EDM festivals, and you know, the basis of what they're doing comes from us. What we started.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, you know, I think once we come up with the formula, hopefully if it's not too late, you know.
Do you think that at some point you'll be getting $150,000, you know, pay like these EDM DJs have?
I think the only way that I would get that is if I actually go into it with some investors. You know, and sit down and map out some sort of business plan.
Absolutely.
For everybody.
Absolutely. Right before we go, this has been awesome, Jihad, to really sit with you and touch on these wonderful topics. You mentioned about coming together. How is that possible? What is your vision of coming together, growing a more positive and structured movement with the current situation that we're in? Everyone doing things, you know, I feel that there's still somewhat of a rivalry. Just not getting together, both from DJs' perspectives, from promoters' perspectives. It seems that everyone's just has their event and they have their following, and they're almost afraid to come together.
Right. Roles have to be played. Roles have to be understood. Egos have to be put to the side. And I think the only way that you can put your egos to the side is when you understand what your role is. You know, because I'm such a fanboy of the pioneers in the game. If I'm on the bill with them, I know that I might open up. Okay, cool. You know, that's my role. I'll open up, and I'm comfortable with that because I respect
everybody else.
I respect everybody. I respect, you know, where they were and who they are in the game.
Yep.
And I don't let that bother me. But I think that DJing is a very ego-driven, you know, business. And in order for us to really come together, sometimes you know, you just have to come together with people who are like-minded.
Yeah.
You know, and just build from there.
Yeah.
Because everybody's going to see something different about your vision. They may not like what you will bring to the table. But then if you get together with a group of people that say, okay, look, let's really sit down and work this thing out. My vision for Jersey was to bring Jersey DJs together to do a festival every year like they do in Atlanta and like they do in Chicago.
Yep.
You know, you only get to see those guys in Chicago that have shows and food.
Yep.
You only get to see these guys here at Atlanta. But what happens is they pull other DJs in to do the post parties, the pre-parties, the after parties.
Yeah.
So, you know, you really just have to, you know, get down with some people that really understand what this thing's about. And as long as, I mean, it could be 5 people, you know, it doesn't matter. But egos have to be put to the side, and you have to understand what you're doing.
That's an excellent point.
Yeah.
And I think that's very difficult for people to swallow sometimes.
I think so.
You know, they always want to be in that limelight. They always want to be the name that shines.
Yeah.
But you know, I think we are not only educated enough, but we are confident to know that opening up, to me, it's one of the best, you know, kind of time frames that you can have.
That's the time when you could play anything you want.
Yeah,
right?
those songs that you could no longer play. Here's your chance.
You don't have to play peak time songs.
Absolutely.
That's the time when you could play the song that you thought you'd never be able to play at a festival.
Yep.
Play it.
Yeah.
You know.
I remember when I started. For me, I chose to open up because I knew I wanted to play down tempo. I knew I wanted to play more of that, you know, sleazy type of sound. And now, like you mentioned before, it's kind of lost. You know, everybody wants to come in hot and heavy.
You were doing military parties.
Yeah.
You know, and then all of a sudden it was like, next thing you know, it's like, they're not there anymore.
Well, I don't know if we want to get that online, but I'm sure that people, I don't know. I'm just gonna say.
See, what happens in Jersey is that it just became a thing where it's just full to the floor all the time.
That's all they want.
All the time. Nobody knows how to just chill out.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And just take it easy and kick back.
That's right.
You know,
like even at the party that I do now, where we kind of break the walls a little bit more and get into the heavier, deeper side of jazz, the danceable side of jazz. And more of the stuff that, you know, on the rare grooves, disco boogie type, right? Not so much the classic New York, you know, classics, or I should say, but more of the stuff that we know we have, but we're not sure if that crowd is ready for it.
Right.
And people come and sit because they want to appreciate that music. So it doesn't necessarily mean you have to dance the whole night through.
It's not all about that.
And at our age too, we want to just sometimes chill with a drink and just listen. And if the song, you know, partakes where you want to get up and dance, you do it.
Right.
So I think that's also something that should be welcomed. I think for us, some of the feedback that we got is like, well, there's a lot of people sitting on chairs. But if you ask them, they were enjoying something that wasn't presented in that format military park before. So it was almost refreshing to them to
they'll
say,
go across the street on Thursday and sit and enjoy a performance, but then they see a DJ and he's playing that same set, and
yes,
oh, I'm supposed to be dancing.
Yeah.
Well, why can't you just chill like you chill across the street? You know?
Exactly.
Because that's what they're going to do when Felix Hernandez is down there.
Exactly.
You know,
that's exactly.
Sit back and just reminisce on some good music and have a good time.
And then it's like, oh, they should play this at a different setting.
Right.
And when you give it to them, it's like, yeah, we don't want it.
You know, I feel like everybody wants to hear new music until they hear new music, right? Then it's like, oh, well, can't you play this? You said you want to hear new music.
Yeah.
What you know?
Well, the brand Bang the Drum. How did that name come about?
That name came about because I think before I was doing Coffee Cake, it was actually a song called
Bang the Drum. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And because I was into the Afro House sound at the time, I wanted a party to represent that.
Okay.
Which aligned me with a lot of great DJs like Dean Zeppelin, Stan Zepp. We brought a Nane over to Jersey for the first time. Salah Nancy from Atlanta.
Wow.
So I wanted to bring in who I felt were the tastemakers of that sound. Ian Friday was doing it in New York for the Libation Party. But you know, we didn't have anything like that. I always say that Jersey was a town that were stuck on classics. You know, and not the B-side classics, the radio classics.
Yes.
And I felt like we should get away from that. You know, because you're going to have, at the time I was younger, 20 years younger, but, you know, I was going to shelter all the time. I was going to
Sound Factory Bar, all of those places.
Sound Factory Bar, The Choice.
The Choice, yep.
Richard Vasquez and those guys. And you're hearing all this music that wasn't played here. And I couldn't understand back then when people used to say, I don't party in Jersey, I go to New York. And I thought they was being a little bit bougie or whatever, but now I understand the diversity of New York City allows you musically to expand.
Absolutely.
There's really not too much diversity in Newark, where we were playing at all the time. You had, it's broken up in sections. Down Neck is Portuguese. South Ward, Black, and Central Ward might be a little mixed, and you know, so, but we, doing our parties, we never had really like that diverse crowd. So, I mean, you got to give props to Tony Humphries, who was playing stuff like Talking Heads, a bunch of people from...
So Without Hats, The Breeze was one of the big songs that we would jam all that stuff, absolutely.
You know, so, you know, he's playing music for people in the hood and expanding their mind. You know? So
that's an excellent point, absolutely.
But, I feel like it's starting to open up a little bit more. People are starting to travel a bit more. And they're starting to become into a different sound.
I agree with you. I think after COVID, the mentality was, I only get one life, let me go out a little bit more, let me travel a little bit more, which helps, right? Because now, to your point, now they're understanding what other sounds are away from here. So don't get so caught up with just what you know, what you've had, and what you keep repeating. But really expand on that. So what's in the future for you, Jihad?
Well, the sound business is picking up. The production is always growing. And the parties and the DJs always, you know, gigs are always coming in. You know, at some point I'll slow down. Take a change somewhere else. Kevin Hedge has been, you know, interested in doing comedy. doing comedy shows, putting on comedy shows. So at some point I'll probably provide some sound for that.
Okay.
You know, but my love of the art of DJing is always there. It's always going to be there.
Awesome.
You know, still love listening to music every week. You know,
You have to.
yeah.
It's a ritual. We can't, once it's in our veins, there's no point in turning back or trying to turn it off.
Right, but you have to ask yourself the hard questions like,
where do you go?
what's after DJing?
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, what do I do after that?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
can I really just chill out?
Yeah.
Or can I just be 75 playing music? You know?
Well, I've seen a lot of guys in London,
Yeah.
still, way over 60,
Yeah.
turning it out.
That's what keeps them alive.
Doing their
That's what
thing.
keeps them, going. And I'll tell you, I heard a DJ over there was playing some incredible music. Like, they have DJs that just do soul music. You know, and there was a party I used to go to called Soul Kitchen back then.
Oh yeah, of course.
I used to love that party.
Yep.
We don't have parties like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know,
Yeah.
where you could just go and appreciate the music.
Yep.
You know, and I feel like the closest thing to that is almost like an old school hip hop party,
Absolutely.
where they're playing break beats,
Funk. Yeah.
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 You know, so I like going to those type of events.
That's awesome.
Yeah, because we have the music.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's just, I think, grooming or reintroducing the crowd once again that it's okay to go here. It's safe.
Right. Right.
It's about the learning, the music process. Then I need to be here where it's gonna be the same sound. But it takes some time. I mean, that's what I try to do with my event. Is just, here's the place. You're welcome to come and listen to something different.
Right.
And if you don't, that's okay too. But understand that there is a hub for this as well.
Right.
But so, how can people get a hold of you for those that do not have your information for your next party, for your next events, for sound rental?
Yeah, I'm on Facebook, Jihad Muhammad Jihad Muhammad on Facebook, or Jihad A Muhammad. Instagram, I'm JAYMU68, JMU68 on Instagram. And I'm always on it, so I'm always checking messages and responding back to people. You can find all the events that I'm doing there. Yep.
That's awesome, Jihad.
Yeah.
I can't thank you
I'm
enough.
sorry, I got to plug my Twitch show as well too.
That's right. What days?
Bang the Drum Sessions every Saturday when I'm not busy.
What time is that?
12 noon. I say till 3. Sometimes it's 4 or 5.
Yeah.
Depends on how I feel.
Of course.
But we try to do it every Saturday.
And on Twitch, what's your
that is
channel?
Twitch.tv/Jihad Mu.
Okay.
Yeah, JIHADMU.
MU. Okay, cool. I can't thank you enough. I mean, we have some wonderful content, brother, and this has been a long time
this
happening.
Conversation could go on forever.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But, I think we've touched some incredible points, and lots of success to you. Keep doing what you're doing. I think, you represent, to me, you represent a lot of what New Jersey should be, musically and ethically, on how to approach the business. I don't see you taking your shirt off and pumping your fists and turning around and doing flips and working with it. So that's a blessing, because it almost becomes comical the way people are approaching
It does.
But much success to you, and hopefully we could collaborate on something together in the near future and see where that takes us, man. But thank you so much, brother.
You, man.
Pleasure.
Yep.